So now we got another one, man. This brother here, I met him a few years ago. He was doing some really great works. When I heard his story, I ain't believe him. No, I was just kidding. I did. I absolutely did. But he gave me his incredible story, and he was letting me know how he was helping people make life choices and make those better decisions, because he was one decision away from making a choice that changed his life forever. We're going to talk with him in a second right here and welcome him right now on the Reec Talk Cast Live and, of course, on our Reec Radio broadcast. We got Daquarius, DQ Greene in the building. What's up, my brother?
What's up, Reec, man? How you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. You always fresh dressed like $1,000,000.
I mean, I try to dress to impress, man, sometimes, you know.
I got you, man. We could jump kind of right into it, because those that are just tuning in, they're like, what story? What one decision? Kind of run through your story. And this thing, I mean, you had you come out to some schools, and you grabbed the attention of the young people right away, you know, the youth right away, and they heard what you had to say. So I just kind of want you to share your story and how incredible it is.
All right, yeah, so my story started, man. You know, we all have a story as soon as we born, but my life really took a change into a different lane my senior year in high school. And so my whole life, my dad was in the military, and so I wanted to follow his steps. I never really liked school for real, but I knew I had to do something. So it was like, I'm going to go to the military.
Right.
And so my whole life I was preparing to go to the military. On May 6, 2014, got ready, took the ASVAB, passed with flying colors. Right, 2 weeks left of high school, 14 days, and I'm about to live my lifelong dream, Army Strong. Next day, May 7, 2014, I wake up. And on this day, I wake up feeling super pumped, super excited, Reec, and I said, man, today gonna be lit. The undergrad students, they had to take a test, so we didn't necessarily have to be there. And so me and two of my friends, we decided to stay home. And before I left my parents' house, I made a decision to take my parents' car without their permission. Proceeded to go pick up two more of my friends, and when I get to the school, memory goes blank. Don't remember what happened for the rest of the day. Well, my friends tell me, they say, it's crazy. One of the best days, matter of fact, it was the best day of our high school. It started out that way, but towards the end of the day, when the night ended, it was the worst day of our senior year. Because the whole day was out of control and chaos that carried on out to the parking lot where principals and teachers began to come to the cars, and we all jumped in our cars. Two of my friends got in the car with me. One was my best friend, Jasmine, and one was another friend of mine. Her name's Ashanti. And before we left the parking lot, we didn't stop to put on our seatbelt. All right, the action that literally took about 7 seconds was about to change our lives. Not only our lives, our family and friends' lives as well. Moments later, down the road, not even 5 minutes, we're on a 2-lane highway. It's about 10 cars, and we're all speeding, going as fast as we can. Start off in the rear, go around one car, and as I'm attempting to go around another car, I start to lose control of the vehicle, where the back tire spins out of control and the car starts to flip. And as the car is flipping, all three of us are getting ejected. So when I landed, I broke my neck. When Ashanti landed, subsequent injuries to her back. And when Jasmine landed, unfortunately, she hit her head on the pavement where she bled out, and she eventually took her last breath. So that next day, I had to have a surgery where they put 4 screws in the back of my neck to replace the broken bone. And they told my mom and dad that I survived the surgery, but I had 1% chance of living. And if I did live, I need 24-hour care for the rest of my life. Right, and at that split second, in that moment, my one decision from taking my parents' car, so many lives have changed in less than 24 hours.
Right, so you end up in 1% chance of living. After the surgery, your best friend passes, and your other friend has life-altering injuries.
Yes. Right. Yes, and so I'm in a coma for the next 7 days. I wake up. I remember it like it was yesterday. First breath I take, super cold. First thought that comes to my mind, I'm back home in my room. Let me try to get up. But nothing was moving. So at that time, I thought, it's a bad dream. We've all had those dreams where we just have paralysis. We can't move.
Right.
Go back to sleep. Wake up that next morning. And so what I thought was a dream was really reality. I wake up in Greater Memorial Hospital, paralyzed from my neck down. And my dad had to inform me on everything that happened. And so when I became stable enough, they moved me to the 6th floor at Greater Memorial Hospital, where I started receiving my therapy. And it was there determined that I have to go to a special rehab facility which specializes in spinal cord injuries and brain injury called the Shepherd Center. One of the best rehab centers there is in the country, actually. And so on May 23rd, I was being transferred from Greater Memorial Hospital to the Shepherd Center, 10-minute ride, and longest 10-minute ride of my life, because during that time, Reece, my high school friends was graduating high school, right? My best friends who I met since 5th grade, classmates, Milton High School, they're walking across the stage getting their high school diploma, and I'm in the ambulance.
Right.
Not only am I in an ambulance, my best friend's life is going due to my responsibility. And I'm at a point in my life where I never thought I'd be, because I had the mindset of what happened to me.
Right, because you're giving up your whole life to go to the Army, living in your father's footsteps almost, and following that path.
For sure. I didn't take the SATs or nothing, because I knew for sure.
That's what you're doing.
That's what I'm doing, right? Nothing like that. And so, and then first weekend the Shepherd Center goes by in a blur. Don't remember too much, right? And so end of the weekend, family and friends come and visit me. We're all watching NBA playoffs at the time. I don't remember who's playing, but the game goes on commercial break, right? And my dad, he stopped and asked me, he said, Q, what you missed the most? And coincidentally, I just said playing ball, right? NBA playoff zone, I used to play ball sun up to sundown. That's what I said. And when my dad asked me that question at the time, I didn't realize that he was really asking to see the reality hit. Because at the time, I never broke a bone in my body, so I never knew what it felt like to not have fully control of every one of your bodies. So, and you rarely hear people breaking their neck, and when you do, you think they automatically die, right? So I thought it's gonna be a quick recovery. But that second week in the Shepherd Center, reality hit every single day. Because when you're not able to get out of bed on your own, you start to think, will you be able to get out of bed on your own, right? Right. You start to think, will you able to get yourself dressed again? Will you able to do the smallest things as tie up your shoes again, right? And all I could think about was just walking, right? Not even running, just walking. Yeah. So that second weekend, it's me and my dad, and just me and him watching the playoff game, goes on commercial break. And he stops asking that same question he did the week before, Q, what you missed the most? As I looked up at him from my motorized wheelchair, I said, Dad, believe it or not, I just miss getting up out of bed. All right, and that's what I told him, and that was 8 years ago. But in that same year, Reece, I got home in August. I did my schoolwork that I had to finish in the summertime. I ended up graduating with a summer ceremony. Came home in August, was in therapy at the Shepherd Center, outpatient, going back and forth. And on December 21st, 2014, me and my mom picked me up from therapy. She stayed home. We had plans to go to Tennessee for Christmas, right? Yeah. But my mom, she gets a knock at the door. And at the time, I'm playing my Xbox, had my headphones in, so I didn't even hear it. It was the police. They said, is your son home? She said, nah, but they said he got turned himself in tonight. It's going to be a warrant out for his arrest. He's being charged with first-degree vehicular homicide. Right, because you were driving the car. I was driving the car. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't smoking or nothing. It was just fun driving, at the time, wild and recklessly, right? But just to be clear for those listening, and I'm slowing you down just to make sure everybody gets these points. You were driving the car. You're driving the car at a fast speed, still a minor, although you do have your license, right? And you had your friends in your car, and two of them injured, one of them fatally injured. So they're at your door trying to find out answers. Yeah, trying to find out answers, right? And I'm thinking, I knew something was up, but the accident happened in May. They didn't end up coming to my door until December. Right. So in my head, I'm like, okay, maybe, it's going away. But it wasn't. And I had to turn myself in December 21st, and I stayed in there all the way to January 7th. First time I missed Christmas, away from my parents. New Year's, first time in jail. Never been in jail in my life. Yeah. Scariest moments of my life, right? And I didn't know what was going to happen to me. Not only are you in jail disabled. Disabled, right? They put me in disabled pod or anything, but you're still in jail. Right. And on December 24th, Christmas Eve, I was calling my mom crying, man, like, I can't do this. Can't be here, right? And my mom, right, I wasn't a big reader in school, so she told me she said, I can't do the time for you, Q. What I can do is give you a verse. She gave me a short verse, right? And it was Hebrews 11, verse 1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for the evidence of things not seen yet. And she said, that's what I can give you right now. So just have faith. Yeah. January 7th, they bailed me out. I couldn't even believe it. I remember going to the phone in the jail, like, Mom, somebody bailing me out. She was like, yeah, it's your dad. They didn't tell me. They wanted to be a surprise. And it was just real funny. So I was like, I left everything in there, and I had commissary cookies. I said, man, it's whatever. Let me just grab my cane and walk out. And so that next day I had to go to an arraignment to determine my next court date, which was that following April 18th of 2015. Right. But during that time from that arraignment and that court date, my principal was another kid at my school who was in 2015 class, their senior year. It was an accident.
Wow.
Wasn't as bad as mine, but he got in an accident.
Yeah.
And my principal, Miss Nicole Shaw at Dutchtown High School, texted me and said, it's time for you to tell your story. And many people kept telling me, but at the time, honestly, Reece, I just wanted to try to get back to my old self so I could go to the military.
You trying to walk, you trying to get regular life functions
back. My friends is in college, right? Friends in the military living their life, and Snapchat is out, so you see everything. So it's like, that's what I'm trying to get back to. I'm not worried about speaking. And then I was like, all right, I guess I'll do it. You know, I ain't doing nothing else. So it was me, my mom, and my best friend that I've known since 5th grade, Josh. We was at Dutchtown High School. Didn't remember too much at the time, so I was reading it all off paper.
Yeah.
That moment was the rawest.
You were reading your accident on paper, right?
On paper, because I really couldn't remember it, right? And that was my first time ever speaking. The rawest moment, because all them kids who were sitting in the stadium, I mean, at the basketball stadium, they was all there that day the accident happened. Yeah. So it was real for them and real for me as well, because they seen me and I was crying, right? Most emotional moment ever. And then after that, I was like, man, you know, let me just try to speak, you know. Started calling schools around Henry County, and I was like, yeah, this the kid who was in the accident last year. I just, you know, I know prom coming up. Let me see if I come talk to the kids. And I started doing that. And then I had to go to court that April 18th of 2015. Right. Got to court and said, you're facing 20 years of prison time. But we don't know why they're offering you a plea deal. Yeah. So the DA was offering a plea deal because they talked to Jasmine's parents and everything. And, you know, they weren't, of course, they were sad at the time, especially being an early accident. But they didn't want to see me punished. And so the DA offered me 5 years of probation and 2 years in detention center. Yeah. I mean, 2 months in detention center, excuse me. And so after that, walked out. They said, you want the plea deal? I said, yes, thank you. Right, where do I sign that?
Right, 20 years or 2 months.
You know, 2 months. So, and then May 18th of 2015, we had to go to the jail real early in the morning. My dad dropped me off. And I had to go into a detention center where it's not really prison, but for somebody who's never been there, it feels like prison, right?
Yeah, that gate closes. This looks like a prison without as many floors.
Exactly, and it was down south, like in the country somewhere, so it was hot too. And I remember that first night being in there. First 2 nights, I cried myself to sleep, Reece, and I ain't let nobody know because I'm like, I can't be soft or whatever like that. And so, but eventually, you know, inmates helped me out because they see I was in the K and I had disability, man. And honestly, they helped me out more than anybody did. Wow. Because when I went in there, I was myself. Never been somebody who about that street life. I'm just
you being you. And I think sometimes we say real recognizes real, but that doesn't mean tough guy. That just means being yourself, and people a lot of times will accept that.
Exactly, and they did, right? Because in the detention center, it kind of ran like a military camp, so you had to make up your bed and do different things. And I honestly couldn't make up the bed like how they wanted me to. So other inmates used to help me make up my bed. You know what I mean? And then they helped me reach out to my mom, and I didn't miss commissary not one time. But I also realized the importance of family in there. Yeah. And family support. Like, right, I was able to call my mom every single day after 4 o'clock. Yeah. You know what I mean? I got letters. We used to have a competition, who's going to get the most letters. After 2 weeks being in there, it stopped because I was getting a letter every day. Right. And I actually, like, you know, and there was people in there who didn't have family members to talk to.
They didn't have any support, and that makes the time 10 times worse.
10 times worse, because Monday through Thursday, they feed you 3 times a week. But Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you only get fed twice. And
a lot of people don't know that even now listening to that.
Yeah, and so it was inmates who wasn't in there but looked out for me. And so, you know, I don't know if you've ever been to jail in Reece, but they make these big pots where they use, like, people put in like 3 Roman noodles to share. But I'm real making nachos, right? But I'm real fertile with mine, so I only ate because you was only able to get 20 ramen noodles in the store, and that could last you a week if you use it right. So I only ate ramen noodles for 60 days straight, one a pack. And so, but because people looked out for me on the weekends when they didn't have nothing to eat, I helped them out too. I looked out for them, and so, you know, that was just a different appreciation of life for me, just being in jail and your freedom getting taken away from you. And I always told myself I'm never going back to jail.
Yeah, that's a story within itself. I'm glad you made that decision, and it's great. But that's a story within itself because a lot of times people from the outside looking in, they look at inmates or even juveniles and they go, "Oh, they bad. Let's throw them away. Throw away the key." Which, as you can see, those guys were in there looking out for you because you had a disability. So we see some kind of human and empathy going on and a human aspect going on too, even in there.
Yeah, nah, definitely for real. And then my mom, she came and got me out July 16th of 2015. I was calling her like a week before, like, you coming? Like, for real, right?
Not one extra hour.
Not one extra hour, because if you missed it, because it was a total, you could turn 6 months in that detention center. So if you missed your date where you didn't get picked up, you would have had to serve the whole 6 months.
Got you.
So I'm calling my mom. I called her the day before, like, you coming, right? She said, you call me one more time, I'm going to leave you up there. So she came real early, her and my auntie, man. I remember my first meal getting, I just wanted Burger King or something, like, and that's what I got. And so, but the whole time I was in there, like, I knew, like, you know, I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to the military, so I got to do something. So the whole time I was in there, my mom was going to, at the time, it was Georgia Perimeter.
Yeah.
And so she was trying to get all the schools and everything like that. And she got me in. All I had to do was go take the GATE test because I never took the SATs. So I did that, got out, and that's when I started my college journey. Yeah. Honestly, for real. And that was real big. And I started my college journey at Perimeter. Then I ended up transferring to Georgia State. But during that whole time in that college journey, I had a dream one day, and I was speaking in front of thousands of kids. Reec don't know exactly where I was at, but I woke up and I said, I got to push this.
Got to do this. Yeah, that's a godsend.
It was like, it's not just something to do. Like, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And so that's what I did, and people was like, man, you got to come up with a ministry, and then, you know, just all the other stuff started to come on with it besides just me getting up and speaking, because that's all I want to do. Right. You got to come up with a ministry, got to get an LLC, you want people to get grants and everything like that.
Yeah, it's a business.
It's a business, that's what I'm saying. And then sometimes that drive people away, you know what I mean? But you just got to keep pushing through it and just make the best decisions for yourself. Right. And so in that whole trial of me, I started my own business, one decision away. And so because I believe in life that you're one decision away from your biggest downfall or your greatest impact. And my dad literally used to tell me that when I was a kid. Every weekend before I go out, Q, you one decision away. Yeah. And so when it came up with a ministry name, it just stuck. And so during that, also that whole time of me doing the college journey and everything, I was fighting depression, guilt over my decisions, because you have survivor's guilt when it's something like that, right? And
why not me? Why couldn't she?
Why couldn't she? And it was many times, many days for a long time. I woke up, Reec did not want to be here every single day. Even if I had a speaking engagement that day, that when I woke up, I didn't want to be there. Yeah. And so, and you know, people always say, man, you know, you gonna let go. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? Even the Shepherd Center, I have a therapist. Her name is Miss Cheryl. I still see her to this day. Yeah. She's helped me overcome a lot. But over that time, I really made sure that I stayed in contact with Jasmine's family. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so over time, I built that relationship with them. And so eventually, I started going out with her auntie. And then literally right before COVID, her auntie brought her mom. She didn't tell me, because if she would have told me, I don't know if I would have came. Yeah. And when I saw her, I immediately started crying. Yeah. Right? Because that means she was opening up to some type of forgiveness, or at least I could hear. Right. And so that was cool at Arizona's. And then over time, we just built our relationships. And over time, but at the time, I was still just fighting depression and guilt, even though I was still in contact with them. Because every time I seen them, you know, you think like, dang, Jasmine's not there with you, and I'm partially responsible, even though everything happened for reasons. You know, I still take accountability for what happened that day. Right. But last year, because I graduated with my undergrad at Georgia State in 2021.
Congratulations.
Man, appreciate you. It was in journalism and a minor in urban education. And right now I'm in my last year of grad school, so I'll finish grad school in May of 2023. Right. But it was the summer after I graduated. Graduated in May. It was June 18th. And we ate at Carrabba's on Mount Zion. And her mom, we hugged, because they were originally from Alabama. And her mom hugged me and she said, I'm going to need you to let go. And for me, that was like the biggest thing ever. Yeah. Because many people, after I speak, would be like, man, your story's impactful, but it would be so much better if you let go. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, you don't understand.
Right. Because they haven't been through that situation.
They haven't been through that situation. Right. It's crazy, right? And to this day, I probably would never let go if I didn't hear it from his poor mouth. Right. And so for the past year and a half, I've been living in the space that I haven't been able to live since my accident. That's a place in peace. Yeah. And so I've been able to live my life without having survivor's guilt. and just doing that. And so that's why I say this year and a half of my life has actually been pretty good because of peace of mind. It's not like something's been happening to me great every day, but it's just the fact that I don't wake up depressed every single day.
I get that, man. For those on the radio side tuning in, listening to Q's story, incredible story, and now he's using his pain for other people's progress. How many kids have come up to you? I got a few questions, but how many kids have come up to you that have heard your story and be like, man, you just changed my life?
Numerous. Numerous. And not even if they don't say it after I speak, they DM me on Instagram because I tell people to follow me on Instagram and everything, and on Twitter as well, because I leave inspirational tweets throughout the week on my Twitter, and then I post them on my story on Instagram. And so that's how I stay in contact with them, and they DM me like, man, you don't know what your story did for me. Like, I was doing this, but I didn't even want to come to school today, but I'm glad I came, because if I didn't, I would have never heard your story.
Right. And no telling what they would have did after that.
After that, exactly, right? And it's like, and those feel good because that's how you know you impacting somebody, even if it's just one person. That's all that matters. And so that's what keep me going, because I still have days where you wonder, like, man, like with COVID and everything, I didn't know, like, everything slowed down. You know what I mean? And so you start to think like, man, am I ever gonna be able to speak again or whatever like that? But then you think, then I go back to the messages where people say, man, you helped me. And that helps keep me pushing as well. And not also just me speaking, but keeping my best friend legacy alive.
That's it.
That's
it. Talk to me about that day. I know you don't remember the day, but do you remember going to the car? Did anything in your brain be like, maybe I shouldn't do this?
Nah, because after I took the ASVAB, I was on a high. Like just an adrenaline high, an excitement high. We went to Bible study that day, and I made that decision that night. Like, I'm taking the car tomorrow.
I got you.
Like, right, and that wasn't my first time. Like, literally, every time before it was be my parents back home, and knock on wood, not to be cocky or anything. They suspected it, but they never really red-handed caught me. And so I said, I'm gonna take the car that day, and then I literally I remember hanging out with my friends, playing NBA 2K. What was it, 13 at the time? Yeah, I think it was 13 or something like that. No, it was 14. And playing the game, we leaving. My boy asked me, like, bro, you sure you gonna drive? I'm like, yeah, bro, I got it.
That was the question right there. You sure you want to drive?
You sure you want to drive? My boy Brooks, he asked me because he drove over to my house. He was like, bro, I'm like, nah, bro, I got it. Like, and not realizing how crazy the day was gonna be. Picked up two of my friends, get to the school. I can visually remember myself walking through the front door, and everything after that just blacked out.
Right. So I got this theory that we always get a sign at some point in the day, and it sounded like your boy was a sign. It was like, you sure you want to drive? And sometimes we so busy moving, we don't stop to listen. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about you. Obviously, that was the situation. But other people listening in right now, we got to always take those signs, even if it's small as when we walking out the house. Something in your head be like, man, grab that pen. And you leave it. Then later on, somebody asks for a pen. You know what I mean? But I just want to commend you on what you've been doing, using your story, because you could have taken it selfishly and used self-pity and not gone and spoke, not use that invitation to start your journey with changing other people's lives, man.
No, definitely, for real. And like I said, most importantly, when I speak, is first to honor God, second, my best friend, and third, to make sure the audience gets the message. I'm just blessed enough to tell the story. And with that, 5 years ago, with the help of my parents, because I know there's going to come a day in life where physically I may not be able to speak, or I may pass away. You never know when it's your time. But when that time has happened for me, I still want Jackson's Michaela Poole legacy to live on. And so with the help of my parents, about 5 years, we started up a scholarship idea.
That's nice, man.
That's awesome.
That's a hype bell moment. I'm going to hit it. Not to break the mood and temperature what we talking about, but that's awesome.
Yeah, so you see the black wristband on my arm that says one decision away on them. So every time after I speak, I sell them for about $3. That's what I start off as. People give me more, but that's what I start them off as. And people give me less, it really don't matter. And so I sell that, and that's how I'm able to come up with the proceeds. So the first year was $500, second year was $1,000, third year was $1,500, fourth year was $2,000, and then just this year again I gave $2,000. Yeah, again, and so next year I'm gonna try to increase it to $2,500. So just try to keep increasing it just as much as I grow, so I can just continue to give back out of her name.
And that's incredible, man. And we just want to say thank you for sharing your journey with everybody you've been sharing it with, giving folks this knowledge. I know it's gonna affect somebody out there that's one decision away. You know what I mean? And that's key, especially when it comes down to the kids, athletes, just anybody that wants to make another move with their life, but they're on a certain path right now.
No, definitely, for sure. And I know we're probably coming to an end or something, but on a closing remark, I always tell people, tell you a quick story. Me and my mom, we look alike. She's like my most annoying best friend, honestly. But but if you listen, Mom, I love you. But we always go out places and we look like a split image. I'll show you a picture afterwards. And every time we out, people ask how we brothers and sisters and everything like that. And we'd be like, nah, sometimes we'll go along with it.
Yeah, me and my dad do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then but every time I get up from that table, I look like my decision on May 7th, 2014. Because it's a quote. It goes like this: we're born looking like our parents, but we die looking like our decisions. And I just want to mention that to who's ever out there looking, and just remember that, like, the decisions that we make will show up. Right. Or catch up to us one day in life.
That's big. I like that. Say that one more time for the folks in the back.
Yeah, we're born looking like our parents, but we die looking like our decisions. And I truly believe that as well.
Right. Absolutely, man. I appreciate you, Q, coming through, man, blessing us with that. Give folks your website one more time.
Man, it's One Decision Away with the number 1. And on my Twitter, it's at One Decision Away with the number 1. And on my Instagram, if you want to follow me, it's _ One Decision Away with the number 1. And so, again, that's always, just big on One Decision Away. And I just think that's pretty easy and simple to remember. So, yeah.
That's it. All right, man. Make sure that y'all tap in with that. We're going to definitely share his information across all our social platforms. Appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been another show, Reec Talk Cast. We gone.